In this video of how and why, I'm going to be talking about Google Cloud projects. For anyone new to the channel, my name's Chris. I'm a senior platform engineer and I work with cloud and Kubernetes. Let's get into it. When it comes to Google Cloud projects, they are probably the foundational piece to get into place before you can start doing anything else with the platform. You won't be able to go out there and create any VMs or Kubernetes clusters or define any permissions without a project first in place. So we'll start by having a look at this diagram where I'll give you a bit of a visual on the project and the way it's configured, and then we'll jump in and actually build a project from scratch. Taking a look here, this is one kind of setup that you might have. You would have your organization, whether that's you as an individual or you as, a company and you're working within the company. You have your resources here, so your Kubernetes, your networking, and your VMs. The APIs that actually are used to create, consume, and communicate with said resources. And then you have your project. Now, it's important to note that without this project piece here, your APIs won't be there. And then without your APIs, your resources won't be there. So the project really is the foundational piece to get you started. One of the questions I get a lot is, how would you build the projects in terms of why would you need more than one? Should I have more than one? Should I have multiple? Should I have my environments in the same project? And without giving too much of a cliche answer, it depends. It really does. So for one example, we can take this one right here in front of us. If it was me and I'm just running my own individual project for testing, let's say for the YouTube videos, right? For doing all my demos, I would probably have my organization as me. And then I would have a project here for YouTube. And in here, I would just do everything. Everything that I'm going to be demoing, talking about how to, I'll put inside this project. Another example that you can come across is mainly in organizations, is when it comes to banking, right? So if we said that this was a banking organization and they have multiple different clients, so let's say we've got customer A and we've got customer B. They're both banks. The problem or the challenge that you will face is that their data needs to be isolated. So customer A can't have access to customer B's data and vice versa. So potentially you would have we'd have our organization, which is banking, right? And then our project would be called customer A. And then our other project would be called customer B. This way, this gives us very clear isolation between the two. Nothing over here on this left-hand side in customer A can communicate with customer B. Not unless you went out of your way to create specific sort of shared project resources, which you wouldn't be doing. This is a good way of isolating clusters, networking, and VMs away from each other. So this would hit the mark in terms of separating them. Another popular one you might see, and I say popular because that's kind of what it comes down to. It's just what people choose to do. There's a lot. You can implement practices in all of these different situations that would hit best practice for security. Another one that could be done is dev and prod. So we have the one organization, again, so we can just call it org. And then they have their project, so we'll call this project, dev, and we'll have this project as prod. Okay, this again gives you isolation. So you could potentially decide, let's say for example, actually you didn't have GKE running, you just had multiple VMs running in prod. Because do you know what? You were a startup and you've got your prod environment and everything works on VMs, but you want to start scaling, you want to start building. Okay, so how can we do this without just switching straight over? Well, let's create a dev environment that's a mirror image of this, right? So we can call it here. So it's a mirror image. Then we can start testing on dev. And hey, do you know what? We're going to migrate 50% of our traffic or 50% of our applications to GKE. And then we're going to start testing it and we're going to see what happens. And if that works, we can then mirror it over in prod. And then they could continue doing so. So you could do some more work in dev, switch that over to GKE, and then you could mirror it in here in prod. The thing is, the whole point of it is, whilst you're doing all this dev and testing, you're doing it in a completely separate, isolated project. Hopefully defined as something like, Terraform or like infrastructure as code, right? So all of this infrastructure here is defined in Terraform, and then you duplicate it over here, right? That's kind of the ideal situation. As you build and develop on dev, you can just promote it through to prod and know that it's going to work because there's a mirror image. But on the main purpose of this, it being the project isolation, which gives you that level of control. Sometimes, if you were to say, yes, okay, there is an argument to say that, well, why don't I just have 2 clusters? So I can have 2 clusters in one project, right? You could have 2 clusters, and then one could be GK prod and one could be GK dev. But again, it's another way of doing it. But the issue or the challenge as such, and especially if you then said that you had your VMs dev and your VMs prod, everything just starts becoming a little bit more complicated. When it comes to developing and changing things, updating permissions, updating other things, when it's all inside one project, the isolation isn't there and the blast radius is significantly higher. Because if I accidentally, in my Terraform, right, so I've got my Terraform up here, this defines all of this infrastructure. If I accidentally put something in Terraform for prod that should actually be for dev, then that's it. It can happen. Whereas when I'm working in this sort of setup, if I put it in dev, there is only dev configuration in my Terraform. I'm going to have a completely different Terraform configuration for prod. And a completely different project. The isolation is just better. Anyway, I digress. These are kind of like some of the examples you might see in terms of how to set up projects, and they all have their merit. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's just implementing the best practices in the way that you're working. Let's dive into the practical. If you're enjoying this video so far, please do subscribe. It really helps support the channel. So when you first log in and you create your first account for Google Cloud, this is the screen you're presented with. Creating an account is really simple. You just head over to the console and sign up for an account. You should be given some free credits so that you can play and toy with the platform, and then we'll end up on this screen. After accepting the terms and conditions, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a project. Now, I'm going to intentionally go through this and show you some of the hiccups and headaches you might experience when creating a project. So we're going to click New Project. We're going to give it a name, YouTube Demo. I haven't got an organization because it's an individual account, so I'm just going to go ahead and create that. We get some information here on the right-hand side, which is going to say it's creating my project, and I can select it. If I miss that, I can go up to the left and click the drop down and then select YouTube Demo. You can see the dashboard looks pretty much the same, apart from the fact you can see now that I'm working on YouTube Demo. I have a unique ID and a project number as well. Now, when it comes to creating a project, we've pretty much done it. We have created a project, technically, but right now we can't actually do anything, and I'll show you why. If we go to create a VM, which is always, fairly a good test and it's the easy one to get going with, we are presented straight away with no billing accounts, rather no active billing accounts. So let's add some billing. Even though you are given credits to get started and get learning, you still need a billing account in case you go over your allowance as such. I'm going to create an account. And I'm going to just continue and follow the steps. These steps are very intuitive, they're very straightforward. Follow along and I'll meet you once my account is set up. Okay, my account is set up and I've been presented with a billing overview page. Pretty much what we wanted. I've got my billing account up here on the left and I can see that I haven't spent any money and I haven't got any services running. So overall, good. So, jumping back, we have now, if we take this, we have our project, which is great, and we have our billing. So far, so good. So let's go ahead and try and create a VM again. So I'm going to head over, I'm going to use the burger menu on the left-hand side, Compute Engine, and I'm just going to click on Compute Engine. So it brings me to the Compute dashboard. Here I can see, okay, this all looks good. let's try and create an instance. It's the same button that we clicked on the dashboard, but this time we're doing it from within the compute dashboard. And we're presented with another pop-up. This one tells us that we don't have any compute APIs enabled. So let's go ahead and enable that API. This can sometimes take a few seconds, so I'm just going to jump ahead and I'll meet you there. Okay, we have been hit by another pop-up problem. Our API, right, enable billing, right? So our billing is not working. But that's a little bit confusing because we've literally just done it. We just went in and we'd done the project and we'd done the billing. These are both correct. So why is the API not working? The challenge is it is not actually linked to your project. So remember, I think I mentioned it, but billing actually sits kind of outside of the project. It sits at the org level. So you need to kind of like pair it up with your billing, right, so that they can communicate to each other. This needs to happen. Otherwise, your project is just going, well, I don't know where to charge. I don't know what to do, and I don't know what money can I spend and where is it? So let's connect the two. So there's no point me clicking enable there because it's not going to do anything. If I go over to our billing, now I want you to note that this time when I'm clicking billing, I am inside the YouTube demo project. So I'm inside the project that we just made. And I'm going to link a billing account. Now you drop this down and you'll see here the billing account listed is the one that we created not that long ago. And then we're just going to set the account. Now we'll be presented with what looks like the exact same dashboard, which it is. But now this dashboard and this account is now linked to our project. I know it seems a bit convoluted, but every platform has their quirks, and this is one of Google's. I still like the platform, but the getting started part is probably the biggest challenge. And then once we're over this hurdle, we can just start creating resources. Okay, so this is our third time, and third time's the charm. Let's create an instance. It is going to ask me to enable the API again, because don't forget, it didn't actually enable the API the first time. Again, this takes a few minutes, so I'll meet you when it's there. And we're here. So now our API is enabled. Yes, it did take a while. Yes, you only have to do this once per project. Only when you create a project do you have to do this. Once it's enabled, you're done. So let's go ahead and let's just create an instance. So just low cost, that's fine by me. Let's just pick something super tiny because I don't need, in fact, share course is fine. Because I'm literally going to turn it on to show you, and then we're going to turn it off again. And then we're going to delete the project so I can show you how to do that as well. Okay, cool. So this is fine, Yeah, okay, got it. So if you were struggling like me just then, and you couldn't see the create button, it's because they had their pop-up to say acknowledge cookies, etc. Once you acknowledge that, it was there, just click create, all right? And then this will create a virtual machine. And as you know, with a virtual machine, you can pretty much do anything with it. You can set up a VPN service on it. You can use it to just practice Linux. You can do all sorts. Okay, so there we are. I've just clicked the SSH button. It's loaded up our terminal, and we've got something to work with. There's nothing going to be on it at the moment because it's a completely fresh machine with no sort of like templates to build up. But you have a working Linux machine. You can do stuff with this now. You can practice Linux commands. You can practice all sorts. You can install whatever you want. Great bit of kit. Let's talk about cleanup. First things first, we don't want this project costing us any more than we want it to. If we're done with this machine, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete it and I'm going to skip graceful. Oh, that's a new beta feature. I like that. So there is the option for a graceful shutdown. So, it's not going to be pulling the power cord out. I'm not too worried about that because I'm going to kill it and I'm never going to use it again. So once this is dead, which we can believe we can track the process of up here on the top right, we'll go ahead and head over to our cloud overview, our project overview. So this is the basic dashboard. We're going to go over to cloud overview from the burger menu. From here, we'll be able to shut down the project as well. So in our notifications here, we can still see our VM is still deleting. So we can get ready. So we're going to head over to project settings, and from here I can either migrate it or shut the project down. Okay, that's going to be nearly done. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the project down. Now the project ID, like I said, is not the same as the project name. I'm sure hundreds of people have used YouTube demo, but we have got YouTube demo 473213. You're going to type that in, because if you copy and paste it, you end up with a white space at the front. It won't let you do it. And then we're going to shut it down. It's going to shut down our project. Now this will go into a state of pending deletion. So if you're happy with that, you can leave it there. However, if you really want to kill it, you can select it from managing resources, which you'll be brought to straight away anyway. And you can delete the project again. And this will just shut it down. It's still giving me a date, but it will disappear from our managed resources. And that's it. We've done it. So we have gone through, we have created a project, we have created billing, we've enabled APIs, and we've created a resource. All in, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes? It's not bad. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. Really appreciate the support. Until next time.